Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. It's a pleasure to have you back again with us, and I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. Many of you have been asking how you can see more of the previous shows, and you can go on YouTube on A Time for Truth show, and you can get them there and subscribe, and we'd love to have you as part of our group. So tonight we have a very special show. It has to do with community empowerment. We're bringing education, justice, business coordination, and expansion to all communities worldwide, because we all need to flourish and prosper and have ability to have a happy life. So Buddha, if you can, I want our viewers to start meeting our special guest tonight, Dr. Andrise Bass, a sustainable development diplomat and strategist that has successfully connected entrepreneurs and startups to impact global change. Dr. Bass has a bachelor's in criminal justice, a master's in psychology, an MBA on organizational change, and a PhD on leadership and public policy. She's currently serving as appointed Global Peace Ambassador at the UN. She's the CEO of PRIS Consulting, an expert on organizational structure, leadership training, and business development. She's the president of the U.S. Institute Foundation for Humanitarian Focus, senior field agent at KidSafe Network, helping youth have a drug-free life, utilizing the Drug-Free World Educational Program. Dr. Bass is director of Global Youth Leadership Program, GYSIL, and co-founder director at the Institute for Strategic Research and Public International Development. She's a senior advisor at IOSCH Human Rights. There you see her with Mayor Adams. And, she goes on and on and on. I really could speak about all the positions she has. She's quite a phenomenal human being. She's a Haitian social change ambassador, vice chair on U.S. Sustainable Development of the NGO group Urban Cluster, and an executive on Climate Reality Corp, trained by former Vice President Al Gore. She's an amazing human being, an amazing woman. And Buddha, if you bring her up on the screen, I want to welcome to A Time for Truth show, Dr. Bass. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Dr. Ben.
It's my pleasure. As I was reading your bio, I was totally moved and impressed. And we have so much. I want to get started immediately. So I want to ask you, what motivated you as a youth to pursue all of these diplomatic, entrepreneurial, and humanitarian positions that you actually are in charge of?
I was motivated by injustice because the justice system is not justice, it's just. I need to figure a way how I can neutralize human rights to make everyone who sign, every country who sign under that article to respect their engagement toward human rights. And I started doing it at a young age by doing literacy program for adults. I finished school at 2 p.m. and by 6, I brought adults together to make them how to read, because I feel like education was one of the keys to open many doors of opportunity.
Absolutely. Education is so key in so many different aspects. What goals do you have in terms of creating stronger communities? I know you're involved in a lot of positions dealing with communities. So what are your goals?
My goal is to bring world peace. And it is fascinating when I start Giselle, the idea to have you from different backgrounds, different countries to come together to know how to negotiate with peace and dialogue. Peace by dialogue, that's the only way we can move on. If every community can bring that peace, we will have a better life for our children, for our family, for ourselves. World peace.
Absolutely. Trusting each other. You know, there's nothing like trusting someone, because I know that for me, my own businesses, that when I trust someone, then we can move forward. And when there's no trust, it's very difficult. I think you make a very good point, Andrise. How do you feel that our world needs to empower our youth and our women, who are basically the crucible of the civilization?
By bringing them to the table. Because if you cannot make decisions for me without knowing me, we need to have that trust, that communication. Ask me. I cannot explain as a mother. You cannot tell me how I feel when I was in labor if you never got children. My labor may be different than yours if you already have one, but we went to the same challenge. If you don't know me, you cannot vouch for me. You cannot talk for me. I think that's the problem we've been having for the longest. We make decisions for people. We tell them how they have to dress, how they have to talk, without asking them. Bring them to the table. Doesn't matter. Women, men, youth, old, bring them to the table. Do not talk for the person who got a mental illness if you never encounter mental illness. Do not talk for the disabled person if you never encounter what a disabled person. You have a teenager home? When the last time you asked your teenager, what do you need? How can I help you? Are you feel okay? But we keep dictating our own behavior to other people and believe the way we're supposed to be the same way. No. A simple analogy I tell everyone. Look at your finger. We put our hand together to put a feet. But if we were the same size, the same length, we will not have a feet. The world is like your hand. We all need each other to grow, to move forward, to socialize. If we talk to each other, we put everyone with value and concern. The world needs empathy. We so lost in our own self, we forgot they have somebody close to us who needs probably a shoulder to hear, a voice. Sometimes the person doesn't need nothing from you. Just listen. We need good listener. And I think if we start communication, value, good listening skill, the world will be a better place.
I totally agree with you. That's one of the things I look for in the people in my practice, and that I stress is you have to listen, you have to make people welcome, and you have to really hear what it is that they want. not what we need, but what they want. So you're so right. And I see that you do research into social issues, into community issues. What have you found as to what's behind human rights abuses, gender-based violence and abuses, and poverty?
The all are connected to each other. And as everything starts with the human right. Everything starts with human right. I even talk at the United Nations, I told them, if you implant the basic of human rights, if you apply all the articles and that human, all the theory of that, we will find every policy, every negotiation, every understanding, every world peace building is right there. My biggest challenge is when I went to a place where they talk about social justice and you ask them what the definition about it. Some of people doesn't even know what the definition of it. If you tell them about why the kids is on the street, why drug is a problem, why are teenagers encounter pregnancy more than ever, why they have so much sickness, why they have so much STDs, they don't even know why. We thought bringing program without explanation, without found the foundation of the sickness. You know, as a doctor, when somebody come to you for got the gum disease doesn't come yesterday. He doesn't wake up, he got the gum disease. There's a cause of the gum disease. You got the root canal. What was the cause of that? Before that root canal, there was something. We need to go back to the basic and understand what was the cause of the problem. Don't try to give Tylenol for every headache, because every headache may not come for the same way. We need more study before we put the program out. What happened in Brooklyn may not good for Staten Island. Program in Staten Island may be not good for the Bronx, or Manhattan, or Connecticut, or New Jersey. Learn how to do some research to meet the people on the table and ask them, before that happened, what was the cause? You don't wake up like that to say, oh, I'm diabetic. No. By the time the doctor tells you you're diabetic, you be pre-diabetic, you was above diabetic, you got it either in your gene or your parents. There was something. And by giving, like I said, medication, is not even a cure. We just brush it out without knowing the cure. We have to stop brushing things out in community, within our kids and our neighborhood, especially the youth. Stop brushing. Stop giving the medication without knowing what was the cause. When they act, what he was doing. Johnny is acting in school today. Johnny never acted in school. What was the problem in Johnny today? Did he got bad day at home? Did his parents got a bad day at home? Did he eat? Did somebody got something? Did he do something he's not supposed to see? Did somebody tell him a word he's not supposed to say? We need to find the cause of the problem before we can even say we're going to get a solution. Because in math, because even I don't like math, but math tell you, if they have a problem, they have a solution, but you need to find the equation of the problem before you get the solution.
Such very good words, very good logic. We need more of that in this world, because what I see a lot of is what you said. People putting in band-aids on problems, people solving something, not realizing why it occurred. And, you know, we're going in circles and we never deal with why they came to be to begin with, which is what you're saying. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. What changes do you see are necessary so we can start moving moving in the direction of social justice and really getting at the cause, the roots of why there's criminality, why there's violence?
Leadership and accountability. Put a leader accountable for when we vote them in the office. Don't allow any leaders to get you 6 months or 8 months before they need your vote. When you're voting, don't vote just because you like. Vote because that policy will change your neighborhood. That policy will change somebody's life. That policy going to make sure they have good housing, they have good health. It's a part of human right. Having a health care is not a gift. You don't give me. It's a part of I was born to be healthy and to have a place to stay, to be able to walk where I want free, to be able to express myself. It's a basic. It's not a gift. If we put accountability, we are responsible. We are brothers keepers. That's why I tell people we are our brothers keepers. If you want the world to change, start making that change and by yourself. What you can do in your neighborhood to bring that change. You don't need to be in the office. If you see your neighborhood is dirty, put them together. Put a paper together saying Saturday we're going to clean a sidewalk. We're going to have a drug-free world meeting in our neighborhood and our school for our children. Because I think every borough got more than 10 schools on it. You can be your own ambassador. Be the ambassador of the change you want to be in your neighborhood. I don't need somebody to tell me what I need to do. And like I tell the UN is just an office where you put a law. But without me, there was no implementation. That's when we had the UN. We had the world. If we want that change, it started by you. Started even in your building. If you are in the building, your building, you live in an apartment, you see something is not right in your dress on the dress room, and when you come into the building, you see they have trash. Put a note. This is our home. This is our face. Let's respect it. Respect, value, leadership, accountability. I think that's the way to move forward.
You know, it's such a refreshing gust of fresh air to have someone actually mention that word, responsibility, accountability, to actually produce something, to actually look at not just rhetoric, not just speeches, not just words, but actually actions, and actions that lead to positive community and really world change. You're so right. I can see why you've been put in so many positions leading. You have so much common sense. It's wonderful. I wanted to ask you, because I know you're at the United Nations, so what initiatives need to be part of our future growth, of sustainability? You've mentioned quite a few things already, but what would you like to see in the future occur?
We make so much mistakes, and they have on papers. They have a lot of papers. If you go from the time, like they're going to, in June, I think they're going to celebrate Stockholm plus 50. Stockholm plus 50, it was something they put 50 years ago about environmental issues. We failed. Because if it was good, the SDG will be not in place. And they said the SDG going to be by 2030, every country, 197 countries will sign for it, say this is the way we're going to move forward. We still failing because there was not a time of action and setback. And when you look at the pandemic, it changed us. There was not any implementation, any law who put on it to say, if They will have a ratification if something happens. Now we're going to buy to ratification of everything because it's like 3 years was doing nothing. 2020, 2021, 2022, we set back and everything. Why? We was not prepared. And I am tired of people putting stuff in papers with no action. If you tell me you're going to do it, I need a road map. Don't just keep putting stuff on paper. It doesn't work. We keep failing. Now I need action. If you say, okay, I understand they say by 2030, but can you measure it? Can every country come in it and measure it? Because when you start measuring things, you start putting stuff in perspective and paper, you can see it better. And when you see it better, you got a vision of it and you move forward to that goal. They need to start putting accountability and make sure measure it. Okay, this is what we're supposed to do. Is done. We check mark. If we have to ratification on it, let's do ratification on it. Let's do review it. How many times we have to review it based on the circumstances of the action, what happened now? That type of shift, we need to have this type of shift in any law. Don't just bond it, just make it flexible. If they have some change, we can switch it. Not that we're getting crazy. Anytime something happens, they have a new courses. Inclusive. Did everybody supposed to be inclusive long time ago? Why is now is a thing? We just create an organization that position inclusive manager. What, you didn't have that before? That's been a lot of companies supposed to be ashamed of themselves. When I look, I say, you didn't know everything's supposed to be inclusive. No one left behind. We left so many behind. The gap of so many behind so long is difficult for the world to come on the one place because we left so many behind, either in education and law and vision and power and government and everything. Let's try to bridge that gap. Bridge that gap by coming together on a common accord to say, this is what we're going to do, and this is how it's going to be. It may not be the same way because I cannot say the way United States going to work is environment issue. That's the way Haiti, Dominican Republic, and stuff, going to do it. Other countries or Africa are going to do it. But how are you going to do it based on your need for your country? Stop bringing stuff to one size fit all. It doesn't work. Even in education, one size doesn't fit all. Because some people can see, they learn. Some people have to read it. Someone you do not. Because I'm a mother of 5. I can tell you I learn from my children. My children, one of them never have a book, always high ranking. And I even have to go to the school. I say, I want to know about that, but I never see him study. And I have another one who can study. She wasting the time. Now she can get it because everyone got the way of learning in different way. Make it rules flexible to fit people's behavior instead of making rules because you have to make rules.
Very, very good points. And you mentioned about measuring statistics. So true, because that's the only way you can see if a program is being successful. And you're right. If a program is not working, if the statistics are not going up, if things are continuing to get worse, absolutely, I agree with you. We've got to either modify it or see if it's even being implemented, like you said, because many times we hear words, but the programs are not implemented. So is it being implemented? And if it is being implemented, is it being implemented correctly, like you said? And is it being measured? Is it producing the result that we thought? And if not, let's go back and modify it. You're so right. We're getting to the end of the show. You've made some tremendous points. It's been a pleasure to have you. What is the concluding statement you would like to give here? We have about a little less than a minute. What would you like to leave our viewers with from you?
World peace, global peace. It is the only way. And peace cannot be implemented if you don't have peace to yourself. Have peace to yourself, and that's the way you can share that peace to others, with communication, by dialogue and respect.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you for being on the show.
It was a pleasure to be on the show, and you can have me anytime. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're quite welcome. And for those of you watching, let's implement what Dr. Andrise Bass has spoken about and laid out for us. Let's go forward. Let's actually act and not just talk. Let's bring trust, integrity, coordination, communication that brings peace to the world. And let's have it happen this year. From A Time for Truth show, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet